welcome to Picture Book Chat. I'm Mary Ellen Brax, the Public Services Manager for Early Learning.
And I'm Sheri Boggs. I am the Youth Collection Development Librarian for the Spokane County Library District. Mary Ellen, I've got some books to show you today.
Yes, I'm excited. They look fantastic.
Let's get started. My first book today is My Heart Beats. Can you see that?
Yes.
Oh, this is so wonderful. So this is a board book, as you can see, nice thick pages. And there's so much I love about this. Like, first there's the photographs, but the theme throughout is it makes the sound that different languages use for heartbeats. Like we think thump thump, but in other languages it's a different but kind of similar sound. So let me just read an excerpt. Wherever I go, whatever I do, baby, my heart will beat for you. Oh, look at that face. It's so sweet. Doki doki goes my heart when I hold you in the air. So I love the diversity of this book. I love the parent-child interaction going on, and just the sounds are so fun. Like this one is to tump, it thumps when you play with my hair. So I love the repetition of the sound in that sentence. Boom, 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 throbs my heart when I kiss your tiny toes. And I just can't say enough about the photography in this book. Like each page is just so engaging. This one is da-donk, da-donk.
Yeah.
Dugun, dugun, pounds my heart when I watch your sleepy eyes. This, I think, is my favorite picture in the whole book. It's just so sweet. Cute. And then at the end of it, I love that you find out which language each of these comes from. You know, I was trying to guess when I was reading it, and it didn't necessarily match the picture on the opposite side. So I think like this would be a fantastic gift for like a baby shower. I think it would work well, and you can speak more to this, but our, you know, programs that we do with small children, you know, like our baby lap sit when we get to having those again. Daycare providers, I think this would be a great book to share. You can really hone in on these wonderful faces, and you know, we know from research that babies love looking at pictures of other babies.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Tell me what you thought of this one, Mary Ellen. How would you use this in programming?
I love this. I think you can use this on a couple of different levels too. And you're right, babies love pictures of other babies, as they'll really cue into that. But you could use it with preschoolers too, and to teach them the different sounds in the different languages of the heartbeat. I think that would be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great one to have in a classroom, since it is that multicultural. So every child can see themselves represented in this book. I think they had a nice range of what they included in here. So I was really, yes, I love this book. And of course, cute babies, you know, are always a win in my book, right? So, and I really do love the way that they talk about at the back, you know, they give you the description there, and just that it ends with, you are alive, you feel love. So, I mean, this would be a great one if a lot of times you don't want to do Valentine's Day books, but you want to do something about friendship and love. I think this would be a great one to use too. So like I said, I think it'd be great to show the babies. The toddlers will really get into it with seeing pictures of other toddlers, other babies, and then just using it, that preschool, to, you know, teach them some of the language and have them, you know, there's some repetition where they can make the sounds with you too. That would be a lot of fun. So yeah, a great one for story time use, classroom use, and like you said, a gift book. For a baby shower, this would be great. So
I thought even with super young babies, and you can tell me what you think of this, but like, you know, even if you're sharing it with a baby that, you know, is in a crib or whatever, you know, like you can even kind of tap their chest, you know, thump thump, with the sound, and kind of
their
get
toes, you know, how they,
there's
a different body part almost for each one, the hair. So you could do body parts too at the same time, which, you know, is always one of those things that you like to do.
Right. Like it's fun, but it's also good for their brain development to kind of get
Yes.
that,
Mhm.
kinetic sense in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Fun.
fun one. Perfect. I mean,
Yeah. Love it.
yeah. I would use it in a small story time too. If I had a smaller group, board books are sometimes hard to use, but if you had a
Yeah.
small group, it would be a fun one to bring out. Or if you were
Yeah.
doing, like we hope to do sometime where we give each of the families that are coming a book to look at while we're reading it, that would be a
Mhm.
fun one to use too.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just noticed the baby on the back.
I know,
I
so
think
cute.
this is my new favorite picture.
Yeah.
So
Just want to
sweet.
pinch those little cheeks.
I know. This is a great one. Well, my next one kind of moves up the age scale a little bit. And you mentioned Valentine's Day earlier, and sometimes we don't want to, like have specific holiday books when we do story time, just because you never know what holidays your group,
Yeah,
the people in your
celebrate.
group celebrate and so on. But I
Exactly.
thought this was another great one having to do
Mm,
with friendship and affection.
yes.
This one is Group Hug. It's by Jean Reidy, illustrated by Chou. I'm trying to get this glare off of here, but first off, I love all the animals on the cover. I
Oh,
love the color palette here. I like kind of these like really nice pastels. Like it's not super bright, but it's engaging. I just think
mhm.
like this has a lot of kid appeal just looking at it from across the room, but there's so much more. So let's start with the first page. There once was a slug needing someone to hug. So right away, you've got these rhyming sounds. It gets this kind of sing-song quality that I think is really appealing to kids at story time. Along came a beetle, a lonely old bug. You need a hug? I have one, said Slug, to keep your heart snug. So this is one of those kind of cumulative stories where, a new creature shows up on every page. On this page, we have a mouse that's got a bad case of the grumps. And then I really loved this page. Then up shuffled Skunk, lost control of his smell, and Squirrel as well had been sprayed, you could tell. So I think it's fun that they introduce these two characters, and it also like has this kind of funny lesson about inclusion. Like there's
Yeah.
hugs for everyone, like like even if you smell, you are welcome
Yeah.
in the hug. Group hug. So I love kind of the panorama of this.
Mhm.
It kind of keeps going in that vein, like, then we have this beaver that's too busy for a hug, and it's like, you're still welcome. Group
Yeah.
hug. So you see them there in another setting. And the book keeps going like that. You meet the porcupine. Let's see. There's also, I loved this page, a groundhog forgotten, a goose out of luck, a fox nicknamed Sneaky, a moose feeling stuck.
Yeah, I
So
love that page too.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of like all these different reasons why someone might be feeling left out. And for some reason, the fox nicknamed Sneaky was really funny to me.
Yeah.
Love that. And then along comes a bear and all of the animals scatter.
Yeah.
But of course, to our little slug friend, the bear is welcome. So it ends with this kind of wonderful like heart tug page.
Yes.
I love the way the space is being used in this. I love that most of the book, I think, is double-sided spreads.
Yeah.
I think the language is really good. I love the rhyming of it that I talked about before. What did you think of this one, Mary Ellen?
I loved it. I just thought it was so cute. I think it has great kid appeal. The rhyming, it's going to be perfect for preschool story time or family story time. I think the rhyming will keep kind of the younger kids really engaged in it. The group hug, when we can get back to giving people hugs, just a fun idea there. I just thought, just with all the animals, it'd be great for an animal unit in preschool, kindergarten, because you could talk about all the animals. There's some great vocabulary. They talk about the beaver building his dam, just the skunk smelling, and the porcupine being prickly and everything. And they've got some great vocabulary there. A long poked porcupine feeling quite prickly. I didn't say sickly, just pokey and prickly. I mean, just the language in it. I just love that. I also loved on the skunk page, they say PU, and I can just imagine the kids just loving yelling that out. So I thought that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, this is like, I think one of, this would be a great story time book, definitely. A little bit longer, so better for the preschoolers and kindergartners. But they would have a lot of fun with it. So, and you might have one of those toddlers that will sit forever listening to a story, and that would be great for that toddler too. So, I mean, you could talk about, well, how do you think that animal moves, and have them do all the animal movements and things too. So, a lot that you can do with that. And I love that they run away from the bear, except for the tiniest little creature, the slug. So that was kind of fun to see too. So yeah, really nice one. And then they all have a great big group hug at the end. Yay. So yeah, a really fun one. Be a great one for story time too. I think
and I liked your point about toddlers, because like it can seem really simple, you know, there's on every other page it's kind of group hug, and so it can seem kind of simple, but some of the other parts there's a ton of text and kind of a lot to get through. So that can be sometimes important when you're doing a story time with small children is, you know, like look out for things that are kind of deceptively simple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a little bit lengthy, but if you've got somebody who's close to 3 and they really like language and they love to sit and would sit forever to read a story, they're going to eat that up. That older toddler age will eat it up too. Because if you're reading it one-on-one, you can always reach over and give them a hug every time you say group hug. So I think that would be a lot of fun too. Or if you know, you have, you know, a bunch of little ones around you, you could do the group hug. So that would be really fun, I think. So,
and I think this just popped into my head. I think like it's great for social emotional context, like just, you know, when you're talking about empathy and, you know, like what do we do when somebody's having a bad day, you know, like
exactly.
You know, like or just kind of like what are the reasons somebody might need a hug? I don't know.
Yeah, and you can ask the kids too, what would you do if you had a friend who was feeling this way, you know? And so then you can, talk about that social emotional aspect of it. So yeah, I didn't even think of that because it was so cute. And the rhyming really caught me and the language really caught me. So
it works on a lot of levels.
It does. It really does. You know, because I mentioned the science of the animals and things like that too. But yeah, you can use this in a lot of different ways. You could even count how many animals they end up with. The book. I mean, you could really pull in a lot of different things. So
and even the different environments they end up in. You know, like sometimes they're on a mountaintop, sometimes they're in a creek, sometimes you know, they're in a meadow. I don't know if you could necessarily use it with a nature story time, but it does kind of have that element of like different kinds of habitats for different animals.
I think you could definitely, because it just shows them in a different light a little bit. So yeah, I wouldn't rule that out using it for a nature story.
Why not?
Yeah,
we're using it for all these other contexts.
Got all the animals. Well, what kind of grass do you see? What plants do you see? Where is that beaver? Where is he building his dam? And you know, a lot of questions like that. So.
Well, I've got another one for you. Speaking of animals,
yes,
I'll just say in advance, I think this is my favorite book. My favorite book in this pile. It might be my favorite book of like the last couple months, and that's Croc.
Oh my gosh, Sheri, this book is so much fun.
I love this book. Oh, I'm so glad you love it too. So many things. Including voices, which I'm going to try to do without shredding my vocal cords. But first of all, like this cover is just so appealing. It's blocky, it's strong.
It's bright.
And I think I didn't get a chance to look at how the illustrations were done, you know, whether it was printing or if it was done digitally, but they have that kind of, you know, like like block printing
Yeah.
kind of look, which I really like. I love that the inside papers
Yeah.
are donuts. That kind of gives you a hint. But it's got so much going. It's got counting. It's got numbers. Anyway, without further ado, it
Did you
starts
realize
out.
that you can sing it?
Yes. Oh yeah. I'm going to get to that, Mel.
Okay.
I'm going to take a deep breath first. It starts out, hey, you, what are you looking at? I bet you've come to see me. I'm famous, the biggest croc in the world. And hour by hour, I'm getting even bigger. And then I love this page. It's feeding time. Sing with me. So you see the clock up in the corner. You see that we're at the zoo. I don't know if you can see that very well. But this is where, if you can do a voice, I think this is so fun. At 1 on the zoo clock, the keepers give to me a mountain of macaroni. But you can actually, and I should have practiced that, sing it to the tune of the 12 Days of Christmas.
Yes.
So I'll try to do that. At 2 on the zoo clock, the keepers give to me 2 cups of tea and a mountain of macaroni. And then he's eating French fries, 4 pumpkin pies. I love this next page. 5 donut rings.
Yes.
Like, it's just, I love the way the space is used. I love that the Croc, like, you never see him in the same place twice.
Right.
The perspective changes. Like, sometimes he's up in the corners, sometimes he's taking up the whole page. It's a very carb heavy diet that he seems to have. Here he's getting 6 tasty toffees. We go up to like 11. You see him just getting bigger and bigger. 11 lemon lollies. So, you know, like the 12 Days of Christmas song, I love that there's all this alliteration in the things that he's eating. Everything sounds delicious. I think kids listening to this will love all the different kinds of foods. We get up to 12 syrup sundaes. And again, I love how he's kind of moving all over the zoo. The feeders are lining up with all of his treats. And then I don't know if this was intentional, but I love that this page reminds me of that Monty Python. I think it's The Life of Brian, or The Meaning of Life. It's one of the Monty Python movies.
Yes.
Where that man like eats everything in sight, and then the guy
Meaning of life. Yeah.
yeah. You know, I couldn't eat another bite. He's like, it's wafered thin. So he offers the crocodile a green pea, and you just see him like, I can't.
Yeah.
And if he does, he might pop.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with, nice try, Croc, but from now on, it's vegetable time. Which makes me kind of hope there's a sequel. I don't know if there will be, but I just thought this was great fun. I love, like I said, the counting, the telling time, the fact that you can sing it. I think that this would work, and you can tell me more about this, but I think this works great for preschool story time just because it's so, the illustrations are so bold that you can see them from far away. I'll let you talk now, Mel, now that I've embarrassed myself singing.
Oh, no. It's so much fun. I mean, I was singing it in my room while my daughter was having a meeting in the next room, and I was wondering, I was just waiting for her to say, oh, that's just my mom, you know, she's a children's librarian.
She does that.
Yeah, she does that. No, I loved it. And I loved that, you know, the counting, of course, and the math, and it really helps with the one-to-one correspondence too. I love the names, you know, that they did it just like the 12 Days of Christmas, but you know, 11 lemon lollies, 10 jumbo jellos, but then you get down to 5 donut rings, 4 pumpkin pies, 3 French fries, 2 cups of tea, and a perfect little green pea. I love that at the end. So yeah, I think the kids would have a blast with this too. You can use it, you know, with different alligator books, crocodile books, you know, you could do a story time around that. You can, you know, this sometimes is one that works with older toddlers, even though it's longer because there's singing involved in it. If you got something that sings, it reminds me of The Napping House. The Napping House is a longer book, but it sometimes can work with toddlers because of the singing and they really get into it. So
And maybe
Yeah.
hearing all the other kids laughing
Yeah.
might
Mhm.
pique their interest.
Yeah, it'll be great for family,
Mhm.
family story time, just family time. But yeah, and the crocodile and the zoo settings, not that many kids go to the zoo all that often unless you live in a really big city,
Mhm.
but still it just it has a lot of kid appeal.
Mhm.
It's silly, it's fun. Um, there's counting involved and you're counting backwards. So yeah, I found it was a great, great one for
Yeah.
story time.
It's
So
got that kind of manic energy that, I think of like, with the Cookie Monster, like that kind
yeah.
of like gluttonous glee,
Mhm. Yes.
like it's
Mhm.
reading time.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah. No, this was a really fun one. So, I mean, we've got 3 great storytime books so far right now. So, and just family reading. I could see this becoming a child's favorite
Yeah.
very quickly, with a crocodile in it and,
Yeah. I'll be interested to hear what our like early learning team of librarians, and
mhm,
storytime providers thinks of this. Like this is
yeah,
one I'm thinking about it maybe even for our professional collection that we use for story times, like
yeah,
wanting to grab it at, because stuff goes out of print so fast,
yeah,
like wanting
definitely.
to scoop this up before
Mhm,
I can't get it anymore.
yeah, yeah, fun one, definitely. I would vote
Yeah.
yes to add that.
Yeah. I love that one. So our final one, I'll be interested to hear what you think of this last one as a
Mhm,
story time book. And this is Change Sings. It's shown up on a lot of best of 2021 lists that are coming out right now. This one, of course, it's by Amanda Gorman. She's been the youngest presidential inaugural poet
mhm.
ever. She's
And
the
she's just
first.
delightful. I've seen
She
her
is.
on I know, I just adore her. I think she's
Yeah, like
lovely.
her performance was wonderful. She's the
Mhm,
youngest poet laureate of the United States
yeah,
ever.
mhm,
Like incredibly talented and personable. The
mhm,
illustrator on this is Loren Long, who has
yes,
done those Otis books about the little
yes,
tractor. Like I really love this style of illustration.
mhm,
Like it's vibrant but it's also kind of got this soft quality. So this one starts out, and I just love all this white space around the central figure
mhm,
that kind of carries on through the book that, like this child is centered in this whole narrative. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. And so here they're walking down the street with a giant mural of Martin Luther King. And so that kind of places it in a context of,
mhm,
civil rights and the need to change to be more inclusive. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. So you can see them starting to, even though it's not in the words, you can see this narrative where they're starting to pick up the neighborhood.
mhm,
Here they are, like it moves from the white space to an actual kind of urban neighborhood. Here they're feeding some hungry people. I helm with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strength and my smarts to take a knee to make a stand. I love this kind of sunset page. So it goes through and you can see, even wanting to reach out to people that maybe don't want to hear it. I thought this page was really powerful.
yeah,
Do you see a boy covering his ears and the dog is barking? It's kind of threatening. Here it looks like they're doing some house building.
mhm,
I love the inclusion in all of this. Like you see
yeah,
a character in a wheelchair. Oh, it looks like they're building a ramp.
yeah,
Different races. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came. I also walk our differences to show we are the same. So I
mhm,
just think it's so powerful. It ends up being this parade. It's just gorgeous. You see the whole neighborhood being cleaned up. And then it kind of moves back to the look of the beginning of the book.
yeah,
And then I love how this mural becomes, like, I don't know if it's the same block that the Martin Luther King mural was on, but
mhm,
I love that it goes from, a mural that's kind of all about, a leader of the civil rights movement to, like the youth movement, like all of
mhm,
these kids kind of working to make a change,
mhm,
together. So I thought just like the poem that makes up the narrative is really powerful, but I think the illustrations just drive it home so well. I think it's a great package. Tell me what you thought about this one.
I loved it. I thought it
Good.
was absolutely beautiful. And
Mhm.
I would use it for preschool. I could see using it in story time. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of different ways that you can use it too. But if you were doing a unit on helping others,
Okay.
because as she goes through and they keep helping and they keep doing something else and they keep adding to it, and it's like they're people are changing as they are helping, then they continue to help, and like it becomes this cumulative effect that they're helping each other out. And love that it starts with a child.
Mhm.
You know, just you may not think that helping one another out, just helping somebody um will make a difference, but it could make a big difference in somebody's life. And
Yeah.
I think that's a nice start. So I just thought the illustrations were lovely. The language in it is lovely too. As you're going through, there's some great vocabulary in here. I really loved where they say, I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I mean, there's some great language I think you can use for early elementary, middle elementary too. And I also looked at the artwork thinking, wow, you could do some amazing art projects too, based off
Mhm.
the artwork, and especially using the murals.
Yeah.
And I like the message that the change starts with me.
Mhm.
Um, I want to be the change I want to see. So I really like that too. So, and then I love this page where they're all helping out with the store. Such a
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful spread. And it says, as I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. Um, so, I mean, there's just some very poignant pieces, and that mural at the end, I just love too. So,
Mhm.
um, I, yeah, I thought it was very well done. I was very excited to see it when I heard she was coming out and that it had been released, but I just hadn't seen it yet because I had high hopes for it, and it met my expectations, if not exceeded my expectations. I mean, I was imagining the language and the poem was going to be beautiful. I think they picked the perfect illustrator
Yeah,
for
I
this.
do too. Yeah,
Um,
I worried about this, because when you have like such a high concept kind of book that's dealing with big themes,
mhm.
I always worry with preschoolers, like, is it going to be too, um, maybe too abstract? But the points that you're making about some of the activities you can do, I think,
Mhm.
no, I think that this book really kind of brings it down to a level that
Mhm.
yeah, most preschoolers are going to find this super accessible.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, there is some vocabulary in there you may need to explain. But I think just especially the way they illustrate it and everything, that helping others really comes through.
Mhm.
Um, and if you've done some other books, along the same lines, it would be a good book to bring a unit together if you were
Mhm.
doing something on respecting others, tolerance, helping each other out, really being a community. It would fit in
Mhm.
nicely, I think, with the community unit too. As I'm talking, I hadn't thought of that before, but
Yeah, that's a good
um,
point.
yeah. So, you may need to do a little bit of scaffolding beforehand if you did this with the group.
Mhm.
Um, but um, but I think it can be done. So I guess I wouldn't be afraid to use it. I don't
Nice.
think, because it's
Yeah.
very nicely, because it's including everyone.
Mhm.
Um, so and I think, that basic message of helping each other out kind of rings full force for me. And I love it that it shows a mix of different backgrounds too.
Mhm.
And I
Definitely.
always go back to that. Kids like to see themselves in books. And so this book definitely does that. So
Yeah.
I really like that. Um,
And I think for kids that can spend more time with it and, like say this is something a family has in their house, there's just so much to notice about it.
mhm,
Because you see like the kid with the hands over his ears with the scary dog, like they end up
mhm.
joining the group, like you see them in later pages. And I love that there are like little, kind of Easter eggs like that to find.
Yeah,
And I love the page where it's the mural of the children and you can see the children that are in the mural down below. Like if you look
yeah.
carefully, you can see them down here. And I think for kids that can be really fun
Mhm,
to, you know,
mhm.
match these to these.
Oh, yeah, that would be. And I
Yeah.
think the music part of it too, you could do a lot
Yeah.
with the music unit even too. So, um, I mean, there's lots of different ways you can use it and build up to that bigger overarching theme of tolerance. And I
Mhm.
mean, because I feel like there's a way that you can do it where you're starting out by helping each other, you're, becoming part of the community, you're helping each other out, and then that kind of leads into a lot of the other bigger topics that you sometimes people are sometimes afraid to bring up with toddlers, but
Yeah.
you know um as we're finding out, kids realize when they're different, right, than
Yeah.
than the norm. And so I think this book just celebrates those differences. And that's what we strive to have our kids do, right, is to
Right.
you know appreciate everyone's differences and uniqueness. So yeah, I thought that was a nice, really nice job. I would, like I said,
Yeah.
it kind of exceeded my expectations. I knew it was going to be good,
Hmm.
but yeah, like I said, the illustrations just kind of put it over the top. I would give this one as a baby gift to some of my friends.
Yeah.
I guess now my friends are having grandkids, but I would definitely send that one. So um as a grandparent gift too, you want to build up your supply of books at your house too, to share. So
Yeah.
in which I think this whole set of books was great for that.
Hmm.
So yeah, this was a fun set of books, Sheri, and beautiful
Thanks.
set.
Yeah. As I was looking through them, there's just so many things to talk about.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's fun to start off 2022 with such a strong set.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So well, I think that's all that we have for today. So I want to thank you all for joining us again for another episode of Picture Book Chat, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. Bye.
Bye.